If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. Perhaps the easiest way to determine how strongly narcissistic an individual is to watch how they respond when conflict comes along. When there's strain or when there's tension, when emotions are running high, or when there are some things that are just not going very well, that's when you're going to see if a person is going to respond with a constructive attitude or a destructive attitude. And you can guess that the narcissist is going to be more in the destructive means, or in the destructive direction. Narcissists operate with an attitude of entitlement. Here's what you're supposed to do for me. They operate from a position of control. They must be the authority. They don't have any particular empathy for who you are. And so whenever there are strains and tensions between you and that narcissist, one of the most common phrases that's inside the mind of a narcissist is, "I need to teach you a lesson." I want to give you some illustrations of how this works, and you can kind of think within yourself if these are some illustrations that would apply to where you've been with certain narcissists in your life. I've spoken with many, many individuals who will look back on their childhood, for example, and will say, yeah, when I was in my home, I had a really strongly narcissistic parent, and when I heard them say, "I need to teach you a lesson," I knew that a beating was coming. And, spankings and humiliation and loud yelling and shaming would come along. And I'm thinking, okay, what parent can rationalize and say, if I can pound this little kid into submission, I've taught them a good lesson. You know what? The only thing you teach them is to go underground with their emotions. You teach them to be fearful. Or I've spoken with so many people in a work setting. Same kind of situation. You may have somebody there, they may be in a supervisory position, they just may be a coworker, and you know that whenever some sort of strain or tension comes along, and it may not be that big of an issue, but in their mind, it's like, if you come against me, I need to teach you a lesson. And they can be miserable to work with. They can sabotage some of the things that you do. They can speak poorly about you to coworkers. They can undermine some of the projects you might be working on. Or it could be that you live with somebody. You may be married to somebody. You have someone in your extended family who has this notion that says, if you come against me, I need to teach you a lesson. And what they want to do is they want to come at you in a heavy-handed way and explain to you, here's how you're supposed to think. Here are the opinions you're supposed to have. These are the priorities that you have. And if you don't have the same ones as I have, then I'm going to make you so miserable that you are going to conform with me. Got it? So when people have that notion that says, I need to teach you a lesson, they are strongly inclined towards powerful criticisms. They can be rageful. They can be contemptuous in the way that they engage with you. They can go into passive-aggressive ways, ways of behaving, anything that they might do to let you know that if you disagree with me, you are going to feel so uncomfortable that you'd better come over here to my way of thinking. And somehow they can sit back and think, there, problem solved. I've now been a good teacher. I've taught you what you need to know. What in the world is going on here? Basically, when people think like this, these are individuals who are very revenge or vengeance oriented individuals. In their mind, they're thinking, if you come against me, then I need to punish you for being different. And you may have given me, the narcissist, some form of injury or insult, and I need to let you know in no uncertain terms that nobody does that and gets away with that. And so in their mind, they actually are thinking, you'll be a better person if you just do what I say. Or you don't understand justice. You don't understand correctness. in the way that I do. And if somebody comes at you with that kind of thinking, I hope that you can know, as sure as you know anything, they're lying to you, okay? There are all sorts of truths that I want you to understand about what is going on when a person has this vengeful notion that says, I need to teach you a lesson, which is their way of saying, you need to come over here and conform to my ways. First, let's recognize that these kind of vengeful people are power seekers. They learned a long time ago that authoritarianism and dominance is the way to go. And these individuals who think like, I need to teach you a lesson, they've learned that if you're heavy-handed and if you're very forceful and overbearing, then that's the desired position to be in. Because somewhere in their deep past, they were taking notes and somebody else did it that way. And they thought, well, I know I was afraid of some certain people, so now I'm going to become that person where others are afraid of me. They make the assumption that power and authority is the way to go. Now, also having said that, a second thing that we can say about these individuals is that status and position is extremely important to them. When you differ from the narcissist, it's not as though you just have a thought that's not the same. They interpret that as you trying to overtake them, or they interpret it as you trying to minimize who they are or whatever their position is. And so they can come across with this attitude that more or less implies, hey, do you know who I am? Or how dare you differ from me? After all, this is me that we're dealing with here. It's like, yeah, I know who you are. Or a third truth that we can understand about these individuals is they have no conception of forgiveness. I mean, even if you have done something that's wrong in the conflict there, it's like, I don't give forgiveness. Or to make it even simpler, they have no conception of accepting other individuals just for what they are. I mentioned their number one thing is, I need to have your conformity, and I don't want to appear weak by saying I accept you for what you are, because to them somehow that diminishes their position of power and authority. Now, a fourth truth that we can recognize about these individuals who think this way is they have a profound fear of seeming insignificant. When another person differs, what is it about that makes them feel insignificant? It's like, no, you can't differ from me. It's like, well, why not? Variety is built into all of creation. Variety is part of what we all share. You know, it's kind of a strange way to put it. We don't need to all think alike, and we don't need to all have the same preferences or standards or principles. I mean, I understand that there are some core things that we need to hold on to. But whenever variety comes up, they're afraid that means that you'll not see them as being important enough, and they truly fear being deemed as irrelevant or insignificant or not worth the time of day that you would have to try to consider who they are. In addition, there's a fifth truth that we can say about these individuals, and that is these people give shame because shame is the psychological language they were brought up in. That's what they were taught. And so that's what they regurgitate with you. These are individuals who can come across as seemingly very self-confident and seemingly very self-assured, when in fact it's like, no, I was once shamed myself if I wasn't good enough. And so now that I'm in a position where I can do it to someone else, that's the language I know. I'm putting shame on you, but they're projecting onto you their own unfinished business. And that's so important for you to understand, because they want to make you to be the problem, when in fact, no, the problem is your psychological damage that's on the inside that you haven't come to terms with. Now, in addition, we can say that when someone thinks, I need to teach you a lesson, you can understand that they don't cultivate friendships. They cultivate allies, or these individuals cultivate connections, but they don't see you as being someone that can be one equal to another, friend to friend. It's like, no, it's always one up and one down. And of course, they have to be in the one up position. And then a seventh truth that we can say then is, as a result of all of this that I'm mentioning, the truth that they want to teach you is basically morally bankrupt and devoid of value. In other words, their truth that they're trying to teach you is self-serving only. And it's not something that's educational at all, as there's no teaching going on in the classical sense of that word. So when a narcissist implies with you, I need to teach you a lesson, consider the source. Their forceful and demanding and coercive manner of engaging with you does not have your best interest in heart. Keep that in mind. Now, in addition to that, I hope that you do know within yourself that, I'm always willing to learn. I'm open to new perspectives, assuming that it's helpful. But when a person feels the need to put you in your place, then why don't you just determine, all right, well, my place is on Team Healthy. And then also remember that they would not have any willingness whatsoever to receive the same kind of message from you that they give. And so I'm thinking, well, if you wouldn't want to be spoken to in the way that you speak to me, then why would I need to do the same myself? Basically, I'm not going to allow someone to teach me anything when in fact they aren't willing to learn in reverse. That just makes no sense to me. And I hope that videos such as this can give you some good perspective about what you're dealing with. Know that when you're dealing with these individuals, they need to teach you a lesson. There's a lot of churning psychological damage going on inside, and you don't need to get pulled into that. You can be on your own separate pace and your own separate path towards healthiness. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button. Gus and I will keep more videos coming in your direction. I truly appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you. You know that I'm sponsored by the good people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy source. And if you have a need for therapy, then I would strongly encourage you to go through the link that we have provided here for you. And there's a whole team of licensed professional therapists, and they can assist you trying to come to terms with these kinds of issues and more. In addition, speaking of therapeutic, I have my therapeutic courses. And each course has many videos with teaching documents, written documents, and questions guiding you in a therapeutic way. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making good connection skills. This is Me about establishing healthy boundaries. Free to Be about finding yourself despite the controllers. We also have my podcast now. And so if you're in the podcast world, seek out the Surviving Narcissism podcast. In addition, we have my books and other resources below. When a narcissist says, I need to teach you some lessons, it's like, yeah, I'm willing to be taught, but I'm not willing to be, have somebody cram me into some sort of self-serving mold. No thanks. If that's where you're coming from, I'm going towards a different direction. I want you to be a person that stands for dignity, respect, and civility. And as you learn your lessons, I'm hoping that you can learn to be more and more a person of peace.